Nats Chat is brought to you by Walters. Walters is the best sports bar in Navy Yard, located just across the street from Nationals Park. Also a great place to check out if you're headed to Audi Field.
Make sure to check out their self-pour beer wall and unlimited TVs.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
Morahone comes set, kicks and delivers, and a swing and a dribbler up the first baseline. Morahone will pick it up. He'll throw to first just in time. He will get the runner, Wood, but on the play, Jacob Young comes in to score. To second base goes Abrams. So James Wood on a slow roller, thrown out by the pitcher, picks up his second RBI of the game and 63rd run batted into the season. It is now the Nationals 3 and the Padres nothing.
Martin Maldonado leads off. Nats 3, Padres 2, bottom 5. First pitch to the veteran catcher is driven deep left center field, and this game is tied. Wow. Out of here in the blink of an eye, 3 rows deep in left center. Maldonado, not known for his offense, hits his 4th homer. And just like that, the Nationals lead is gone. Nats 3, Padres 3. That took just 1 pitch to tie it up.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Henry delivers, swing a ground ball to first, fielded by Lowe. He looked, he goes to the bag at first, and a run will score. He had a play at the plate on a force play. I have no idea why he didn't throw home. He took a sure out at first. Garcia was breaking over there to cover first. I'm not sure what was happening there or why he didn't throw home. He had an easy force play on Sheets, who's not a fast runner. Well, the Padres take the lead on that 4-3.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MassonSports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Petco Park in San Diego. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. So Wednesday will mark the end of a stretch of 16 games in 16 days for the Nationals. They now are just 3-12 during that stretch. A 4-3 loss at the San Diego Padres late night on Tuesday night in a game in which the Nats blew a 3-0 fourth-inning lead. The Nats now are 33-47, tied for their most games under 500 in this regular season at 14. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by the DC Grays, who, by the way, are hot. The Grays have won 3 consecutive games. The Grays are part of the Cal Ripken Summer Collegiate Baseball League. The Grays are playing their games this season at Woodbridge High School in Northern Virginia. To donate and learn more about the Grays, visit dcgrays.com. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. So the Nats bullpen was not to blame for them blowing this 3-0 fourth-inning lead late night on Tuesday night. Trevor Williams did have another bad outing, ultimately 4 runs in 5 innings. And the Nats offense had another bad game in this month of June. And the offensive struggles happened in this game, despite the Nats catching a break with what happened with the Padres starting pitcher Ryan Bergert. He allowed 3 runs in 3 innings, left the game off being struck by a line drive by Jacob Young on a leadoff full count infield single in a Nats 1-run fourth. Although, Mark, the way that things had been going for the Nats against Bergert, him leaving the game might not have been such a good thing.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking to myself, Al, that, terrible thing that happened to Bergert, and he wound up having x-rays on his forearm, which did come back negative. So thankfully it's nothing more serious. It looked pretty nasty. So as painful as that was for him, I almost wonder if Jacob Young would rather have that one back, because they were hitting the ball hard against him. They were having success against him. And the Padres bullpen is their strength. You saw that in this game, obviously, because the Nats did hardly anything against them over the second half of the game. They had 6 hits in the first 4 innings and then only 1 the rest of the way. But to me, the game boils down to this. Yes, they hit them hard early on. They scored 3 runs. They had ample opportunities to add on to that 3-0 lead early. They go 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position in the first 4 innings alone. So it starts with that, and then they let the Padres creep back in, and they ultimately gave up the winning run on a split-second decision in the field that we'll get to that Nathaniel Lowe made that really cost them. A little thing there that cost them in a one-run game. And I feel like this is now 2 on this West Coast trip. I think they've played pretty good baseball on this trip. There's 2 games that they lost that were by 1 run, and you could say flip one little thing here or there, make the right play here or there, come through with a hit right there, make a pitch, make a play in the field, and we have be having a pretty different story right now, I think.
Yeah, it is so illustrative, though, of the hole that is dug by an 11-game losing streak, because the Nats, since the 11-game losing streak, have played better, are 3-3, but they're right back to where they were at the end of that losing streak in terms of games under 500, 14, and it just shows you how when you bury yourself with something like that, it's so hard to climb out, and you can play better but still have nothing to show for it. And they don't have anything to show for it now in terms of games under 500. So, we'll see what happens the rest of this trip out west. It is encouraging, though. I mean, the Nats have been better than they were during that wretched homestand against Miami and Colorado. So in terms of the Nats pitching in this game, so like I said, Trevor Williams, 4 runs in 5 innings. That was the official final line. He wasn't terrible in this game, but, ultimately the line was what it was. He gave up 7 hits, which were a home run, 2 doubles, and 4 singles. He issued 2 walks. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He threw a good number of strikes, 70 pitches, 45 strikes, just 25 balls. And that's despite his outing ending with him throwing 8 consecutive balls and walking each of the final 2 batters he faced. Williams, in the bottom of the 4th, allowed 2 runs on a single, a ground rule double, an RBI ground out, and an RBI double. Williams, in the bottom of the 5th, gave up a leadoff first pitch homer by the Padres' number 9 batter, Martin Maldonado, to left center field to tie the game at 3. And Williams, in the bottom of the 6th, was charged with a run off issuing back-to-back walks over 8 pitches, as mentioned, to the first 2 batters he faced in the inning. It was remarkable. He had been so good in this game at throwing strikes, and then it's like he fell apart in terms of throwing strikes over those final 2 batters. And you asked Nats manager Davey Martinez about that during his postgame session with you guys.
Yeah, I think what was notable was how all the misses, it felt like, were going to the exact same spot, up and away to a left-handed hitter, missing to the arm side. Not really something he had been doing all night. And that usually speaks to a mechanical issue more than anything else. And Trevor himself admitted that he needed to find a way to correct that in the moment and not let, what happened go ahead and happen. Now, listen, I know the history with Trevor Williams, and I know that you get 5 decent innings out of him and you say, take that, run with it, let's move on to the bullpen. But here's why I don't have any problem sending him back out there for the 6th, and it's why I would have done the same thing. First of all, he's only thrown 62 pitches through 5 innings. You can't be pulling your starter at that point. And secondly, you really can't do that when you're on day 15 out of 16 in a row that you're playing games, and this bullpen has been taxed during this whole stretch. It's not because they've had a lot of short starts. It's nothing like that. But it's just been a lot of work asked of them over this stretch where they have not had a day off. You've got to get more out of your starter, especially when the pitch count is low. And so while you maybe are holding your breath a little bit when you send him back out there for the 6th inning, you're certainly not expecting him to walk the first 2 batters on 8 consecutive pitches, and now you got to pull him from the game. So he admitted it. He needed to be better than that. He didn't want to leave the bullpen in that kind of position. I don't fault Davey Martinez for sending him back out there. If you have a fully fresh bullpen, maybe coming off an off day, different story. You can make the argument to pull him after 5. But in the situation they were in, I don't think you had a choice but to put him out there. You just expect better results than you got.
And he had been throwing strikes in the outing, and he already was well into the Padres lineup for a 3rd time. When you're talking about a 5-and-dive guy, that's sort of shorthand for twice through the order and get him out. He already was well into being through the order for a 3rd time. The 2 guys who he walked to end his outing were Gavin Sheets and Xander Bogaerts, the Padres' numbers 5 and 6 batters. So he had kind of sort of navigated his way through, say, the first half of the Padres lineup for a 3rd time, but things did fall apart in terms of his issuing those 2 walks to end his outing. So you look at Trevor Williams now for this regular season, 16 starts, ERA 5.65, whip of 147. He does not have enough innings to qualify for MLB's pitching leaderboard, but if he did, he would rank next to last in the majors in ERA and would rank 3rd to last in the majors in whip. So Williams did as he did, and then we had what happened with the Nats bullpen in this game. 3 Nats relievers officially combined for 3 scores scoreless innings. Cole Henry came into the game in the bottom of the sixth. He faced 4 batters, got 3 outs. Among them, a bases-loaded RBI groundout on which Nats first baseman Nathaniel Lowe did not go home when he pretty clearly should have got home, and it was very telling after that play. Lowe was visibly upset with himself. You could tell he recognized almost instantly he made the wrong call. Henry, to the first batter he faced, did issue a walk, so I do want to mention that. Henry walked the bases loaded, issued a walk at Jake Cronenworth to load the bases, despite having had him down in the count at 1.12. But it was just interesting to read the body language of Lowe after that play, him recognizing that he should have done something different.
Sure, it was pretty obvious. Now, he did tell us afterwards that he didn't have a grip on the ball that he wanted in that moment, and so I think he felt like he knew he had time to make the throw, but maybe wasn't confident that the throw was going to be on target. And so he made that split-second decision to take the out at first base instead. As he said to us, I didn't make a play that in retrospect I would have liked to have made, and we lost, obviously by the 1 run. So it is pretty costly, in retrospect. This is what you paid the big bucks for. This is, he's a Gold Glove first baseman. He had a pretty good line about it. He was asked a follow-up question that was, basically, how difficult is it in that very split second to make that call? And the quote is, there are about 30 guys every night that could tell you how difficult it is. And 30 out of 7 billion sounds like a pretty small group. If there were more guys that could do it, they would, but there aren't. It's a select group of guys who play first base in the big leagues. We tend to think of that as the, least significant defensive position. But you and I know, you've seen enough baseball to know that a good first baseman makes a difference. And that's a play, as from a guy who has won a Gold Glove before, that he wishes he could have back and maybe have a better grip on it and make the throw and get it there in time. He didn't. He has to live with that. There's only a small select group of guys out there who really know what that's like in that split second. It's very easy for all of us watching from afar to say, oh, why didn't you make the throw to the plate? It's one thing to think that. It's another to be the guy in the position and have to make that call.
And of course, in a game in which your team only scores 3 runs, a play like that gets magnified. If the offense is better, I don't even know if we're talking about a play like that. So I think that is important to note. But the Nats bullpen ended up doing a good job in this game. Jose A. Ferrer, a perfect bottom of the 7th. Eduardo Salazar, a perfect bottom of the 8th. I wondered about going to Salazar. Ferrer was pretty efficient in that bottom of the 7th. I know Ferrer has not been trustworthy, but as we have noted, when he has been good, he has been quite good. He looked good in the bottom of the 7th. I wondered if Davey Martinez might try to get more than an inning out of Ferrer. Goes to Salazar. We know how things have gone with him this season, but he ended up getting the job done, and so Ferrer and Salazar kept this game close.
So what Davey Martinez said about that, using Salazar in that spot, he said, look, we've been relying on too few guys out of the bullpen. They all have to contribute. And so he specifically decided it's a 1-run game. I'm going to put one of my guys who are from the so-called B bullpen out there and give him a shot and see how he handles that spot, because ultimately we can't keep using the same 3 or 4 in close games every night. This team does seem to play a lot of close games. You're going to have to rely on others. So he put him out there. Salazar did a really nice job. Good for him. Good for Ferrer. We got the good version of Ferrer, the back booth Ferrer instead of the front porch Ferrer in this one. And I also want to go back and mention that Cole Henry, the walk that loaded the bases, he then got 3 ground balls and probably deserved better than he did because of the Lowe decision. There were 2 really nice defensive plays that followed that one. You have Brady House charging in and making a throw to the plate, and Riley Adams getting the tag down, kind of correctly blocking the plate once he had the ball in his possession. That was a nice play. And then Adams had to scramble in front of the plate to field a little roller by Tatis and make the throw, and he bounced the throw, and Lowe did a nice job to scoop that throw at first. So it wasn't all bad for Nathaniel Lowe. It wasn't all bad from a defensive standpoint. There were some tricky plays the rest of that inning that they made to keep it at least at a 1-run deficit and not let that inning get out of control.
DC Grays Baseball is an all-volunteer nonprofit that brings baseball and softball to kids in under-resourced neighborhoods of DC. Inspired by the great Grays team of the Negro Leagues, who played many championship seasons in Washington with stars like Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard, the DC Grays have developed their MVP program. It gives boys and girls in underserved parts of DC the same opportunity to pursue their baseball and softball dreams as do kids from more affluent parts of the DMV. The Grays provide expert coaching, uniforms, equipment, and tournament travel free of charge. A donation of $100 will help a child in DC to participate in the Grays MVP program. The Grays also field a team in the Cal Ripken Summer Collegiate Baseball League. Their 2025 season is now underway. To donate and learn more about the Grays, go to dcgrays.com.
So it's 3 balls, 2 strikes. 4-3 San Diego. Suarez ready. He kicks and he fires. Swing and a miss. Down goes Wood. He chased a changeup down and out of the zone, and the ball game is over. The Padres even the series with a 4-3 win.
The Nats offense was just 3 runs, just 7 hits. The Nats did work 3 walks, but as Mark mentioned, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The 7 hits were 2 doubles and 5 singles. James Wood, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, 0 for 4. He did draw a bases-loaded walk, did have an RBI groundout, but he struck out 3 times, including for the final out of the game. You almost feel silly for picking at any nits with James Wood, but, he for this regular season is tied for 5th in the majors in most strikeouts at 95. That is the one thing about his game that you look at and you say, okay, if there's something for him to work on, it would be that. But, of course, him striking out probably is part of his offensive approach, which has resulted in this great surge in power this season. So, I am sort of sensitive to if he made this conscious decision to drastically reduce the strikeouts, might that reduce the power? So I don't want to sacrifice the power, but he has struck out a lot, and he struck out 3 times in this game.
Yeah, the alternative would maybe be an approach more like Luis Garcia or Keibert Ruiz. I don't think we want that from James Wood.
No.
Swing hard, try to hit the ball hard. The other thing is he is so patient at the plate and takes his walks, and that does lead to some called third strikes, especially down at the knees. I think that's maybe the area that there's still some room for improvement, just recognizing those pitches at the bottom of the strike zone a little better. As you said, we're picking nits here with a guy who's having a tremendous season. But he's only 22, and there are still things for him to learn and ways for him to get better, which is a remarkable thing to consider because he's already this good at this early stage of his career. If he can refine a few things, it's hard to imagine where he could go from there. So not his best night at the plate, but I think he's entitled to one of those every once in a while. And really, I think it was some guys a few spots below him in the lineup that missed some opportunities to drive in runs in this game.
Do want to salute C.J. Abrams. Another good game for him. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter. Went 2 for 4 with a double, a single, and a walk. He continues to have a terrific June. Abrams for this month of June now has an OPS of 873. We mentioned that infield single by Jacob Young. So he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter. Actually had a decent game. 2 for 3, 2 singles, RBI, sack, bunt, and a stolen base, improving to just 7 for 15. On stolen bases. He has been stunningly inefficient on stolen bases. I know this has come up a bit. You look at what he did last regular season, team best 33 stolen bases, but 33 for 43 on stolen bases. He's one of the fastest players in the majors, but that inefficiency on stolen bases really does stand out with him.
And remember, he started his career 25 for 25. That included his couple months at the end of 2023 when he debuted and into 2024. And so since then, it's been a way lower percentage and a success rate for him. I asked him about it on Sunday in LA. That's after he had the really costly overslide of second base in what was at the time a 1-run game. It turned into a blowout after that. He feels like the recent mistakes have been overslides, and he understands that that's something he's got to be better at. He acknowledged that maybe as of a few weeks ago, his jumps from first base were not what he wanted them to be. He says that he's worked on it. He believes that he has made some improvements and is getting better jumps. He sometimes seems like he's leaning back towards first before he takes off, and that's causing him just that tiny little second of being a little bit late. But he knows it's got to be a part of his game. If he gets on base, we know he's not going to hit for power. So he's got to use his speed to his advantage, and he truly believes that he's good enough if he gets a good jump to steal a base off anybody. Nice to see that he did that. He had a good game. The squeeze bunt was very well executed, and nice job by Dalen Lyle to read it off the bat and score the run. So that was good. He even hit the ball hard. Well, he smoked the line drive off the starting pitcher and knocked him out of the game. And he hit the ball hard off of Robert Suarez in the ninth inning, a line drive to center field, just poorly placed, unfortunately. This was one of his better nights in a while. I want to go back real quick here to Suarez and the Padres bullpen. For those who don't know, Suarez was given a 3-game suspension by Major League Baseball on Friday after the beanball incident with the Dodgers, and he intentionally threw at Shohei Ohtani on Thursday night. He's given the 3-game suspension on Friday, but appealed the decision. And usually the way that works is within a few days that appeal is heard. Sometimes you lose 1 game off of it and you end up still serving. And the thought all along was, okay, he'll probably have it dropped to 2, and the Nats might benefit from this, and he might have to serve those 2 games during this series. Well, somehow the appeal process lasted well into Tuesday. He was eligible for the game Tuesday. Report came out from The Athletic late in this game that he was dropping the appeal, that he's going to serve a 2-game suspension starting on Wednesday. But because this all happened after the game started, he was still eligible. If I'm the Nats, I'm a little annoyed by that. You had a suspension on Friday, and it wasn't until late Tuesday night that this finally went down. I would be hoping, if I was the Nationals, to not have to face him in what was a 1-run game. This is an all-star closer and a very good bullpen. It would have been nice not to have to face him in the 9th inning of this game.
Yeah, he's one of the better closers in baseball. Certainly, if you go by saves, he's got 22 saves now. The Nats did not get good outings from their numbers of 3 through 5 batters in this game. We talked about 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Luis Garcia Jr., Nathaniel Lowe, and Josh Bell overall a combined 0 for 11 with a walk. And in terms of with runners in scoring position, a combined 0 for 6 in this game. Lowe went 0 for 3. Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. July 4th weekend is around the corner, and for many people that means that summer vacation is coming up. Will your windows keep your home protected while you're away? Save yourself the headache of coming home to a potential break-in by replacing your windows today with Window Nation windows. Right now, when you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free, plus you get a free exterior door when you purchase a house full of windows. And on top of that, you won't have to put any money down, pay any interest, or deal with any monthly payments for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. In this economy, what Window Nation is offering right now is a great deal. Your electricity bill is another good indicator of how well your windows are working, especially with summer temperatures here to stay. Lucky for you, Window Nation offers top quality, energy efficient vinyl windows built to withstand the sun's heat and keep your home cool. And did I mention that Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty? Don't miss your chance to protect and upgrade your home with Window Nation windows. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free now through June 30th. And remember, you won't pay a thing for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
LinkedIn Jobs is here to help small business owners with that crucial step of making the right hires. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates you can manage all in one place. Here's how it works. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it, and promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
The CAT scan came back negative, which is great. You know, like I said, I spoke to him earlier today. He said he had a headache. It didn't go away. Just by him walking around, he said the pounding of him just walking bothered him a little bit. And so that gave us a little bit of concern. So we'd rather be safe than sorry.
Mark mentioned Riley Adams. He was the Nats starting catcher and number 8 batter, went 1 for 4 with a double, as the Nats on Tuesday night did announce having placed catcher Keibert Ruiz on the 10-day injured list with a head contusion and having recalled catcher Drew Millas from AAA-Rochester. Ruiz in game 1 of this series, the Nats 10-6 win at the Padres late night on Monday night, had that scary scenario, was struck on the head by a foul ball while in the dugout. Now, in MLB, and this is a little wonky, but that's what we're here for, there is a 7-day concussion injured list and there is a 10-day injured list. If we're talking about position players, that Ruiz is on the 10-day injured list and not the 7-day concussion injured list would seem to indicate he does not have a concussion, which would be a good thing, but he is going to be out for a bit here with him being on the 10-day IL.
Yeah, look, it's still a kind of scary situation. A head contusion is no joke. And he was talking about to us the day after the fact that he has had headaches, dizziness, just really didn't feel like himself. And his biggest concern, I think the team's biggest concern as well, is if he were to get behind the plate as a catcher and take a foul tip off the mask in the wake of this, that could be very significant. These guys are very careful about that. And I thought it was interesting, and I appreciate that Keibert said this. He says, I have 2 kids at home. I've got to think about them. That's pretty telling from a Major League ball player who plays the toughest position in the game. You get beat up as a catcher, and there's always that fear of head injuries. And so while, yes, technically he did not suffer a concussion, and that's why he's not on the 7-day IL, I wouldn't necessarily look at what happened to him as like a sigh of relief or that this is anything that's not all that serious. It's still something. He was still dealing with it. They're going to be very careful with him. He's going to stay with the team through the rest of the road trip so they can keep eyes on him. They'll run him through some various tests to see how he feels each day. It is kind of a scary thing. And no concussion, but that doesn't mean that it's still not a significant issue that happened with him.
Well, and we know with him, I mean, he wants to catch every day. You know, he's a guy who you essentially have to save from himself with how often he wants to play and he wants to catch. So I think that makes what he said even more prominent, that he would come out and reveal something like that. So, you know, I don't know how much we'll see of Drew Millas. Millas, it seems like every time they call him up, barely plays. You know, Riley Adams has not had a good season, but he did have the double on Tuesday night. Do you think Adams will play in the majority of the games, or do you think we'll see a fairly even split between him and Millas while Keibert Ruiz is out?
The initial indication from David Martinez is that Riley Adams is the number 1 catcher and Drew Millas is his backup, and so we're not looking at a 50-50 split. Now, at some point, it boils down to performance. If Adams continues to struggle, how he has through most of the season, although, you know, on this road trip, he homered in LA and he doubled in this game, you know, but if he were to struggle and Millas, in whatever opportunity he gets, takes advantage of it, that could all change. The good news, Millas was hitting better at AAA. He got off to a really slow start, but he worked on some things there. Felt much better about the way he'd been hitting the last several weeks. I think Wednesday's an interesting call because it's a quick turnaround to a 1:10 p.m. first pitch, but it's Mackenzie Gore on the mound and you're trying to win a series. And I could understand the thinking of let's use the more experienced guy, the guy who has probably caught Gore a lot more in an attempt to win the series and maybe save Millas for sometime this weekend against the Angels.
Yes. Wednesday afternoon at 4:10, Game 3 of this series, Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. It will be a McKenzie on a Wednesday. It works out perfectly. That nickname could not be better. McKenzie on Wednesday. And the Padres starting pitcher, by the way, will be former Nats prospect Nick Pivetta. And while we are talking starting pitchers, the Nats' number 1 overall prospect per MLB pipeline, Travis Sykora, continues to kill it for High-A Wilmington. He in a game on Tuesday night, 6 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts versus 2 walks. Travis Sykora now this season, 10 starts, ERA at 1.11, whip of 0.61. I understand it's still probably, 2 years away until he might be promoted to the majors. I suppose next season would be a possibility if he continues to really ascend. But man, it's hard not to be excited about what the Nats could have in this guy, doing a really good job right now. And Travis Sykora, for those who don't know, a 3rd-round pick. The Nats took him in the 3rd round of the 2023 MLB draft out of a high school in Texas. And he has ascended to being the Nats' number 1 overall prospect per MLB pipeline.
As you just said, he's drafted out of high school, and he just turned 21 earlier this season. So, I mean, really young, really inexperienced. It's only 29 professional starts so far. And yet it has been so dominant, and it has applied to any level that he has pitched at so far, that you do wonder if you can consider a fast track for him. I mean, it's only 6 starts in high A ball at Wilmington, but the numbers are phenomenal there. Would you go ahead and let him make it up to AA before the end of the season? If they do decide to do that, you're only 2 steps away from the big leagues, and all of a sudden 2026 may be in play. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. And remember, he had hip surgery in the offseason, so he had a delayed start to this season. So he is just mastering every level that he's pitching at, and it's going to be really fascinating if this continues. At what point the Nats decide, hey, he's clearly better than the level of competition that he's facing. Let's bump him up and see how he does. And then you're getting a lot closer to the big leagues at that point. He has all the makings of a true ace who throws hard, big, strong kid. But beyond all that, he is a really astute student of pitching. He understands the art of pitching, wants to learn more about it, is really into it. This is going to be a fascinating guy to watch as he makes his way up. And maybe it won't be quite as long of a path to the big leagues as you would think when you draft a high school kid only 2 years ago, and we're already talking about him like he could be close to AA ready already.
And when you take him in the 3rd round, I mean, it's not like he was drafted as this phenom, but he has essentially turned himself into a phenom. He has worked his way into being a phenom.
He was highly touted, and I think fell somewhat because the thought was he was going to go to college, and the Nats enticed him to go ahead and sign. But yes, you're right. He doesn't, go into that as like a bona fide early 1st round pick or anything like that. And the Nats took a gamble. They convinced him not to go to college, to go ahead and sign with them. And so far it looks great. But I mean, for an organization, as we know, that has not had a whole lot of success with drafting pitchers early in the draft and turning guys into frontline big league starters, we got a ways to go still, of course. But boy, it's awfully enticing to think about what this guy could be.
Absolutely. 6 starts for Wilmington this season, 10 total minor league starts this season, and the numbers are pretty impressive here, what he's doing. 1.21 ERA for Wilmington, a 1.11 ERA overall over those 10 minor league starts. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by the DC Grays. The Grays are part of the Cal Ripken Summer Collegiate Baseball League. The Grays playing their games this season at Woodbridge High School in Northern Virginia. To donate and learn more about the Grays, visit dcgrays.com. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. Email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you would like to sponsor the show. Email Tim Shover, see what we can do for you on Nats Chat. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
It's an 0-2 count for Sykora to work with, and he gets him on 3 pitches, goes off speed. The 0-2 once more. That'll do it. 1, 2, 3. All swinging, all strikeouts. He's up to 8.